Hi, I'm Lou Ann Hahn, and welcome to the September edition of Lynchburg 360, the show where we take you all around the Hill City and show you the great things that this area has to offer. One of the hidden jewels is tucked away right here on the back campus of Randolph College. For decades, the Maier Museum has owned and displayed thousands of precious pieces of art for students and the public to enjoy. And while some of the artwork may be priceless, it won't cost you a dime to see it. I'm here with Martha Johnson. She is the director of the Maier Museum here at Randolph College. Martha, thank you for having us here. Tell us a little bit about the Maier, where it's located, how we can find it, and when did it all get started?
Sure, okay, yes, the Maier Museum of Art is on the campus of Randolph College. The museum building actually was established in 1952 is when the construction was completed. And it's actually a relic of the Cold War. It was to be the safe repository for the National Gallery in Washington, D.C. in the event of some kind of attack on our nation's capital. So there was a plan in place that was given a secret code name. It was called Project Y. And it was the method by which they would evacuate these treasures from the National Gallery. It involved trucks that were dedicated to this purpose only, that were just waiting for this scenario to unfold, where they would transfer artwork into these trucks, drive down 29 to this facility here. So when it was built, the college entered into this agreement with the National Gallery, and it was good for 50 years. And so for a while during that 50-year period, it was left pretty much empty, waiting for doomsday scenario to unfold and for the work to come here. But the National Gallery did allow the college to make some modifications over the course of the contract, transforming the building into more of a useful facility for the college. At the time that it was built, the college itself already owned a very remarkable collection of American art. So the quality of the collection here at the college far exceeded any facility in which to house it. So that was also part of the decision to choose this as the location and partner for this safe repository. What we have is really the best American artists from the 19th, 20th, and now 21st centuries are represented in this collection. And even a lot of people in Lynchburg aren't aware of what we have here in this community. And if people are familiar with American art history, they often walk in and they cannot believe what they're seeing. Gallery after gallery in this museum of the best American artists that ever lived.
What are some of the paintings that they're going to see here?
Well, they're going to see works by, for instance, the Hudson River School group of artists is really what a lot of art historians consider to be the first cohesive American art movement. And we have some great examples by those artists, including Thomas Cole, who is the founder of that movement. And I have to say that the collection, as it is now, we're so indebted to an individual that was here when the college opened in 1891, and her name was Louise Jordan Smith. And she was, again, one of the first 5 original resident professors here, and she taught art and French. And she set out to convince her students that being surrounded by high quality original works of art was an incredibly important part of their education. And so she made that happen for them. She felt it was really important that they be surrounded by this creative evidence in the places where they would socialize and study and eat and live. And so the students here early on, right from the beginning, were really convinced of how important that was. And even today, if you walk down the hallways of Main Hall, if you wander the Student Center, you will see incredibly impressive examples of original artwork. Now, some of the more valuable pieces are in the museum for a lot of good reasons, but there's still some really high quality original works of art throughout campus. Speaking of Louise Jordan Smith, she started a series of annual loan exhibitions. In fact, in 1900, she said, "I want to establish an annual loan exhibition in which only the very best paintings are displayed for the benefit of our students." And so actually in 1911 is when the first annual happened. So right now we're working on installing the 104th annual exhibition of contemporary art. Each fall the theme is different, and this fall it is looking at contemporary American black male identity. And we have 10 artists featured in the exhibition, and these are artists of international stature. To be consistent with the rest of the collection, these are the best contemporary artists that are producing today. And one of the 10 artists is actually a local artist, Kevin Beasley, who actually graduated from Heritage. So it's very exciting for us to be including someone local in an exhibition that is really inclusive of artists that have national and even international stature. In November 6th, we open a very exciting exhibition. It is our inaugural exhibition of our partnership with the National Gallery in London. And in November, we open an exhibition entitled Venetian Visions, Selections from the National Gallery, London. And so there will be 3 paintings coming from the National Gallery in London, and a painting coming on loan from Yale, and one from the National Gallery in Washington, D.C. And these will sort of support the other 3 paintings coming from National Gallery in London. And so that is very exciting to have these Renaissance paintings from Venice here in Lynchburg from the collection in London.
The Maier Museum may have started out just specifically for the students, for their education, but it sounds like it's an education for the entire region, the community.
Yeah, it is. It is, I mean, for starters, Louise Jordan Smith's vision of establishing this annual exhibition and establishing a collection here was for the benefit of the students at the college. But part of her vision was the building of a permanent collection, which would feature work by the most important Americans over time. So from the annual exhibition, we have acquired year after year works from that particular loan exhibition. And now we have this collection of American artists over time that is a great teaching tool, not just for Randolph College students, but for Lynchburg City schools. And it's a great way to show students of all ages kind of what was happening culturally and historically in these different time periods over these centuries. And so it's very valuable in that sense as an educational tool for various levels. And it's very unusual to have such a high quality collection at such a small school, and in a community the size of Lynchburg, really.
Domestic violence is a difficult subject to talk about, let alone find a solution to. But a singer and songwriter from Lynchburg is hoping his new project and personal story can help victims that find themselves caught in these situations.
I know she came from Southern California. When I met her, she was only 17. Dreams in her eyes, a beautiful smile, said she liked to visit Tennessee. Well, Well, I don't know all that much about her, but what I did, it kind of bothered me. No fear in her eyes, gonna take the world by surprise. That girl was gonna make history. What a beautiful girl, the prettiest girl. Her dark tan and freckles, Ray-Ban sunglasses, ready to take on the world. What a beautiful girl. I hear she spent some time in Colorado, by the mountains and the snow and all that air. She hooked up with this guy, was never eye to eye, but I heard that she loved him desperately. I remember working down in Albuquerque. Her letter and her picture greeted me. No life in her eyes, no natural tan lines, no smile. It was hard to believe that that beautiful girl was fighting the world. No makeup, just glasses, hiding reflections of bruises and tears on her face. That beautiful girl. I sometimes go back to that day. I remember that she rode away. Oh, that beautiful girl. I heard that she's at rest in California.
We were out with Brooks and Dunn. We were one of the support acts for Brooks and Dunn, and we were doing a meet and greet. And I looked down through the line, and there was a young girl with her mom and dad, and she was just like the picture perfect, just beautiful girl. And her personality was just off the charts when you would talk to her, and all she wanted to do was travel and see the world, and she had no fear, and that kind of bothered me a little bit, you know, because traveling, I know how dangerous it can be, and I constantly warn my guys, if we're in different cities, where not to go. Stay in this area, don't go in this area. But none of that seemed to bother her, and it always kind of scared me. I would go to different venues, and her way of keeping up with me would be to send me pictures and letters, like guess where I'm at now, or pictures of her at the Grand Canyon, and her mom and dad are still just great people. And there was a club in Denver that we played about twice a year, every year. It was a big country club. And I knew the manager there. I just got to know him really well. And I asked him if he'd seen Antonia. He said, well, yeah, she's kind of falling for this guy. And he's not the best guy in the world. So I didn't really have a way to contact her until she contacted me. And I was down in Albuquerque, and a promoter just walked up and said, is there a Danny Perdieu here? And I turned around and I said, oh, another letter from Antonia. And I opened it up, and I just could not believe what I saw. She had no color. She had glasses on. I could tell she had bruises. She just a totally different person. Identity was gone. And it really hurt me. I tried to find her, just try to help her. I called the club. The manager was very helpful. We looked and looked, and then about 2 weeks later, he said that he had heard that she'd been killed. I talked to her mom and dad. This song just came. The lyrics just came, and I've been sitting on top of this song for a long time. I just thought it was too heavy. I was very greedy. I thought it was for me. Just something to kind of keep of her. And then I had a good friend of mine about 2 or 3 months ago. I saw the same thing, and I was like, this is happening all over again. And that's, when I decided to go ahead and take the recording and do something.
I am the director of the YWCA Domestic Violence Prevention Center and the Sexual Assault Response Program. Okay, well, we're two shelters, one located right here in this community and one located in Campbell County, where yearly we shelter about 250 women and children and men who are fleeing their homes due to domestic violence. Domestic violence is a pattern of behaviors that are created in order to control someone else. Usually what we see is that it's very subtle. It's not, you know, when you first meet somebody, they don't just come up and identify and show behaviors of an abuser. It's very subtle and it kind of takes over, and then before you know it, the victim is isolated and to herself, and the abuser is free to just take total control of their lives, and they'll go to any extent to do that. And if physical violence is the answer to keep a victim under control, is what they will use. Well, we're all about empowering people. Our number one goal is to save lives. You know, in this community, between the time of August 2013 to August 2014, we lost 8 lives in our service area. And that's what we're trying to prevent most of all. And that says a lot, but the majority of the people that we work with, they will survive, but they're living in violence day to day. And we're here to make a difference in their lives. About 20-some years ago, I went in the middle of the night with my 3 babies, and I am a survivor, and the YWCA empowered me, gave me the tools I need to change our lifestyle, absolutely. And that's what we do every day. Like I said, we work with about 250 people in our shelters yearly, but we also work with a little over 900 victims already involved in the criminal justice system. They're needing protective orders, they're assault and battery charges, malicious wounding charges pending. We work with them to help them to maneuver the criminal justice system, support them, do lots of safety planning, because that's the one thing we know that will save lives. Well, these are silhouettes, and they're here in the state of Virginia. Our state Virginia coalition came up with this idea to help us memorialize our victims of domestic violence, and all the silhouettes that you see are victims who have already died right here in our service community at the hands of their abusers. And as you can see, there's even a mom with 2 children here, and that ended in a tragic incident of their home was set on fire in the middle of the night by their father, who set the house on fire and went back to work as if nothing had ever happened. So we want to give these victims, we want people to remember them, and we want their deaths not to be in vain. So if we can help stop another death by putting this out here and allowing people to get their attention, learn more about violence, how to stop it, that's our goal. Well, we are so excited, and when I first listened to Danny's song that he wrote, "The Beautiful Girl," it just sent chills down my body to hear, you know, this is a person's life that was taken away from us way too soon. But we're excited because we can tie it in with not only awareness right here in our community, but also use it as a fundraiser. In the last year, we've lost about $100,000 in grants, and so we need to replace that money. We really do need to in order to keep our doors open.
When you love somebody, no matter what, sometimes you're through it, thick and thin, but you're not really sure what that person's capable of. You know, I have firsthand knowledge of what someone's capable of. You know, I've lost a friend. And I think that people need to understand how serious of a matter that it is. It's not just about love, it's about death. So I think we all need to pay attention to that.
I heard that she's at rest in California.
If you live in Lynchburg, you've probably been to the Lynchburg Public Library. But have you been upstairs to the Jones Memorial Library? It's a treasure trove of local history. In fact, you might even be able to dig up some information on your own family.
Morgan Jones gave a sum of money for that purpose in memory of her husband. The building was built on Rivermont Avenue, and the library was in that location until the summer of 1987, when we moved to this location. Until the Lynchburg Public Library opened, Jones Memorial Library was the city's circulating library. After the city opened a public library, in order not to compete with them, Jones Library pared its collection down to genealogical and historical research resources. Jones Memorial Library is a privately endowed and operated library. It's not a part of the city's Lynchburg Public Library system. We're in the same building with the main branch of Lynchburg Public Library, but we just simply are renting this space from the city. And our entrance is separate. Our hours are separate and our phone numbers are separate. We have a large collection of published works, a large collection of family histories, a large collection of Virginia published documents that have to do with the history of a county or a city, indexes to wills and deeds and marriages, order books, court order books, and the sort of thing that most genealogists are interested in. In addition to that, we have E.C. Glass yearbooks back to 1913. We have many of the Dunbar High School yearbooks. We have a large collection of materials on both the Civil War and the Revolution, which can assist someone in doing research in those time periods. These include such things as regimental histories, histories of certain battles, a large number of biographies of people who were involved in the Civil War and in the American Revolution. I think the most important thing to know is that we're here to assist people in their research. We also have the obligation of protecting the materials we have and restoring some things as they are needed. But our main purpose is to serve those people who come in either with genealogical questions or historical questions. And we want people to know that we're here and we're willing to help them as time allows. A lot of libraries are not able to do that. We are, because we don't have the large number of researchers coming in at one time, and usually whoever's on the reference desk or other members of the staff are able to assist people as needed. There's no charge for anything but photocopies, and we just simply want people to know we're here, we'd be glad to see them, and are always willing to help when we can. Jones Library operates off of income from the endowment which Mrs. Jones made to the library in her will. We also operate, in addition to the endowment income, we also have donations from the community, our patrons, and we welcome those and encourage those. All of that together keeps us open and running, and we want people to know that sometimes what you may think is a small donation, along with other people's so-called small donations, can be a big help to us. So please keep us in mind. A donation from you, no matter how small or large, makes a great deal of difference when everyone pitches in together. It keeps us open and available to the public.
My name is Susan Pillow. I'm the director of the Jones Memorial Library, and I want to take this opportunity to thank the Greater Lynchburg Community Trust for helping us to purchase new equipment to view our old microfilm. These machines actually scan the old microfilm and allow us to manipulate the images so that they're more legible. Also that we can email and save these images to a thumb drive. Previously, we only had older machines that allowed us to look at the film with a light bulb, kind of like an easy bake oven. But this has been a true jump forward in technology and has allowed microfilm to become relevant again as a preservation tool for our newspapers, our county records, church records. We have about 4,000 rolls of film here. On various military, court, and newspaper records.
One of the benefits we have for our patrons, free for them to use, is access to Ancestry.com. In the 20 years I've been here, this has been the biggest jump as far as accessibility to records other than what we have in-house. I have typed in a name and I've pulled up the results. And in this case, it's telling me that there are several census records and a find a grave index for this person. And also, recently they have added Virginia records to Ancestry.com. In this case, I'm going to show you a death record. And this falls into the time frame where you can actually see the actual certificate. And I click on View, and our patrons can also make a copy of this if they wanted to. So there we have an official certificate of death from the Commonwealth of Virginia. This was issued for Bryant Thomas Jamerson. It happens to be my grandfather, and he died on June 11th, 1957, cause of death. And they also have marriage records and birth records for the state of Virginia that was just released in May. Virginia death records are from 1912 to 2014. The images are only up to 1987. Ancestry.com recently also released birth records and marriage records and divorce records for the state of Virginia that are now accessible. Depending on the time frame, some of it you will be able to see the actual certificate, and in other parts of it you get to only the index. And again, that depends on the privacy issue in there.
I like a lot of things about my job. I think the one thing I like the most is knowing that what we do for other people means so much to them. It's a real treat to assist a researcher who's for years has been looking for a lost ancestor or some piece of information about them that we're able to find. We've had opportunity on a number of occasions, I know that I have, remember one in particular of someone who was looking for a birth father. Now this is very difficult to do if the child was adopted as he was, but he was able to find his his birth mother, and that was very rewarding. We have a lot of people who have come in with questions that they've been looking for years, and we're able to help them find an answer to that, and that's extremely rewarding.
That's it for this edition of Lynchburg 360. As the temperatures get cooler, don't forget to take some time to get outside and enjoy the view.